which started out as a small cottage family industry, turned into a major studio with television and film productions at this time, with the acquisition of RKO Studios and Pictures by Desilu.
1967, the board of directors of Desilu Productions approved the sale of Desilu to Paramount Pictures Corporation, for which Lucy received 60% of it because she was the majority stockholder.
Lucille Ball died worth $60 million in 1989. That's $125 million today. Most people knew her as the redhead from I Love Lucy. They didn't know she was one of America's wealthiest women. The fortune came from a 1951 contract that CBS executives thought would save them money. Instead, they handed Lucy the rights to television's most profitable show. A $1,000 pay cut became a multi-million-dollar empire that still generates $20 million annually for CBS. This is how Lucy built that fortune, and how her family lost control of it. In 1951, CBS made what would become the costliest mistake in television history. They asked Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz to take a $1,000 per episode pay cut, not knowing they were about to hand over rights to the most profitable television show ever made. The details of this negotiation reveal exactly how Lucy built her empire. Here's the situation CBS faced. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were making $5,000 each per episode of I Love Lucy, a combined $10,000 per episode, which was enormous money in 1951. To put this in perspective, the average American worker made about $3,500 per year. So Lucy and Desi were earning almost 3 times an annual salary for a single episode. CBS wanted them to reduce their combined salary to $8,000 per episode because the network faced an expensive logistical problem. Most television shows in 1951 broadcast live from New York City because that's where the majority of American television viewers lived on the East Coast.
Everything was about the family. It was always about, no, we have a plan. This is why I got off the road. This is why I'm not doing my shows. This is why she stopped doing movies. We want to be together. We want to be in California. We want to do this.
The technology to broadcast simultaneously across time zones didn't exist. So networks performed shows live for East Coast audiences, then repeated them 3 hours later for West Coast viewers. Lucy and Desi absolutely refused to leave their comfortable Los Angeles lifestyle to move cross-country. They had built their lives in California, owned property there, and Desi was still performing with his band in Los Angeles venues. Moving to New York would have disrupted their entire personal and professional lives. The network proposed a solution. They would agree to let the couple stay in California and film the show there. But Ball and Arnaz would have to accept the pay reduction to offset the increased production costs. The couple agreed to the pay cut, but they had one condition that seemed innocent at the time, but would change everything. Here's the detail that shocked Hollywood when its implications became clear. Desilu Productions, Lucy and Desi's production company, would retain complete ownership of every single episode after it aired on CBS. This meant that once CBS broadcast an episode to fulfill their contract, the network would lose all rights to that episode forever. Lucy and Desi would own the actual 35mm film prints, the storylines, the character likenesses, the musical scores, and most importantly, the exclusive right to sell those episodes to other television stations anywhere in the world. But why was this ownership so incredibly valuable? In 1951, the concept of television reruns barely existed. Most shows were performed live and never seen again once they aired. The technology and economics of television were completely different from today. The few programs that were preserved for later broadcast used a primitive recording method called kinescope, essentially pointing a 16mm film camera at a television monitor while the show aired live. The resulting footage had terrible resolution, poor sound quality, and was considered virtually unwatchable by audiences.
He and his colleagues made the decision to film I Love Lucy on 35mm black and white film, making possible its preservation and essentially the invention of the rerun, and then syndication sales, and the whole modern way that television economics work.
CBS executives thought Lucy and Desi were asking for worthless old film footage. They couldn't conceive of a future where television audiences would want to watch the same show twice, let alone pay money for that privilege. The prevailing industry wisdom was that television was a disposable medium. People watched shows once and moved on to the next program. But Lucy and Desi demanded something revolutionary that would cost CBS significantly more money. They insisted I Love Lucy be filmed using the same high-quality 35mm film stock used for major Hollywood movies. This was incredibly expensive compared to live broadcasting or kinescope recording.
And because he figured it out, with help with these great people he knew how to pick, reruns, syndication. We have the kind of world we have today in television because they invented that.
And because he kept saying, ¿por qué, por qué, por qué?
Why?
Each episode required multiple camera angles, professional lighting setups, film processing, editing, and storage. Costs that could easily double or triple the production budget. Desi Arnaz was particularly insistent on this point. Having worked in the film industry, he understood that 35mm film would preserve the show's quality indefinitely, while kinescope recordings degraded rapidly and looked terrible. He got CBS to agree to the expensive filming process by accepting the pay cut, but he added what seemed like a minor condition. Desilu Productions would own the physical film prints and all future broadcast rights. CBS executives agreed to this deal because they thought they were getting a bargain. They would save money on Lucy and Desi's salaries while giving away what they considered worthless old television episodes that would never generate additional revenue. Network executives literally could not imagine a business model where old TV shows could be profitable. The shocking result came within just a few years. By 1954, local television stations across America were desperate for programming to fill their daily schedules. Television was expanding rapidly, but there weren't enough new shows being produced to fill all the airtime. Station managers discovered that I Love Lucy episodes were so perfectly crafted and timelessly funny that audiences eagerly watched them multiple times. This created the first television syndication market. Local stations began paying Desilu Productions substantial fees for the right to broadcast I Love Lucy reruns in their markets. Suddenly, Lucy and Desi owned what became the most valuable content library in television history. The deal meant I Love Lucy was the first show in syndication, literally creating a billion-dollar industry that now generates more revenue than theatrical movies. Every time a local TV station, cable network, or streaming service pays to broadcast an old television show, they're participating in the business model that Lucy and Desi accidentally invented. Within 5 years, the magnitude of CBS's mistake became clear. The episodes they had given away for free were generating millions of dollars in syndication revenue that went directly to Lucy and Desi's production company. By 1956, CBS executives realized they had made the biggest financial blunder in television history. The episodes they had casually handed over to Lucy and Desi were now worth a fortune, and the network was desperate to get them back. The price they paid would shock even today's media moguls. Here's what happened. Local television stations across America were in a bidding war for I Love Lucy reruns. The show was so popular that stations could charge premium advertising rates during Lucy episodes, sometimes double or triple their normal fees. Audiences would specifically tune in to watch Lucy reruns, making them more valuable than most new programming. Desilu Productions was collecting syndication fees from dozens of markets simultaneously. A single episode of I Love Lucy might earn $10,000 per month from one major market, and Desilu was licensing the same episode to multiple markets across the country. With 180 episodes in their library, the monthly syndication income was astronomical. CBS executives were watching in horror as Lucy and Desi collected millions of dollars from content that CBS had essentially given away for free. The network was paying enormous costs to produce new programming, while Lucy and Desi were earning pure profit from shows that had already been produced and paid for. The situation became even more humiliating for CBS when they realized they needed those Lucy episodes for their own programming schedule. The network's daytime lineup was struggling, and they knew that I Love Lucy reruns would instantly solve their ratings problems. But they would have to pay Lucy and Desi for the right to broadcast shows that CBS had originally produced. In 1957, CBS made a desperate offer. They would buy back the syndication rights to the first 180 episodes of I Love Lucy for $4.5 million. To put this sum in perspective, $4.5 million in 1957 equals approximately $40 million in today's dollars. CBS was essentially paying $222,222 per episode in 1957 dollars for shows they had given away 6 years earlier.
So he was known for looking at the guy and saying, tell me, what in here is, I'll clean it up, what in here is crap for me? And it was so, off-putting to people because they would just go, well, page 25 is not so good. And they go, okay, good, let's talk about that. Yeah. Instead of pretending for an hour and a half and then finally getting to page 25,
Lucy and Desi accepted the deal, but they negotiated brilliantly. They retained certain rights to the episodes and structured the payment to minimize their tax liability. They also used the $4.5 million as seed money to dramatically expand their business empire. But here's what makes this deal even more shocking. CBS thought they were solving their problem by buying back the Lucy episodes, but they had actually created a bigger long-term issue. The precedent of paying millions for old television content established syndication as a major revenue stream that would eventually dwarf original programming profits. Meanwhile, Lucy and Desi used their $4.5 million windfall to purchase RKO Studios in 1957. RKO was one of Hollywood's major movie studios, complete with multiple sound stages, production facilities, and a 14-acre lot in the heart of Hollywood. This purchase transformed Desilu from a small production company into a major entertainment conglomerate.
Which started out as a small cottage family industry, turned into a major studio with television and film productions at this time, with the acquisition of RKO Studios and Pictures by Desilu.
1967, the board of directors of Desilu Productions approved the sale of Desilu to Paramount Pictures Corporation, for which Lucy received 60% of it because she was the majority stockholder.
The RKO acquisition was strategic genius. Lucy and Desi suddenly owned the physical infrastructure to produce multiple television shows simultaneously. They could rent sound stages to other productions, generate revenue from facility rentals, and expand their own programming slate without relying on outside studios. Within months of the RKO purchase, Desilu was producing multiple hit shows: The Dick Van Dyke Show, The Andy Griffith Show, My Three Sons, and later Mission Impossible and Star Trek. Each show generated substantial profits, but more importantly, Lucy and Desi now own the syndication rights to an entire library of valuable content. By 1958, Desilu had become so successful that they decided to take the company public. All 525,000 shares were immediately purchased by investors, providing additional capital for expansion. Lucy and Desi were now running a publicly traded entertainment corporation worth millions of dollars. The transformation was remarkable. A $1,000 pay cut in 1951 had led to a $4.5 million payday 6 years later, which then funded the acquisition of a major Hollywood studio and the creation of a television empire that would dominate the industry for decades. By 1960, Lucy and Desi's marriage was falling apart, but their business partnership had created a problem. How do you divide a television empire worth millions of dollars? The solution would make Lucy the first woman in Hollywood history to single-handedly control a major entertainment company. The couple's personal relationship had deteriorated due to Desi's heavy drinking and infidelity, but their professional collaboration had never been more successful. Desilu Productions was generating massive revenues from I Love Lucy syndication, their new shows were rating hits, and they owned valuable Hollywood real estate through the RKO Studios purchase.
So he was known for looking at the guy and saying, tell me, what in here is, I'll clean it up, what in here is crap for me? It was so, off-putting to people because they would just go, oh, well, page 25 is not so good. And they go, okay, good, let's talk about that. Yeah. Instead of pretending for an hour and a half and then finally getting to page 25, he just cut to the chase.
When they divorced in May 1960, they faced a complex business decision. They could either sell Desilu Productions and split the proceeds, or one partner could buy out the other's share. Lucy chose the buyout option, but the price tag was staggering. In November 1962, Lucy paid Desi $2.5 million for his 50% ownership stake in Desilu Productions. This made her the sole owner of one of television's most successful companies and the first woman in entertainment history to run a major Hollywood studio. To understand the magnitude of this transaction, $2.5 million in 1962 equals approximately $20 million today. Lucy was betting her entire financial future on her ability to run a complex entertainment business without her ex-husband's involvement. The buyout made Lucy incredibly powerful in Hollywood. She now personally controlled multiple sound stages, employed hundreds of people, and made decisions about which television shows would get produced. Her authority extended far beyond her own performances. She was greenlit shows, hiring directors, approving budgets, and negotiating distribution deals. Under Lucy's sole ownership, Desilu Productions expanded dramatically. The company was simultaneously producing The Lucy Show, Lucy's new sitcom, The Untouchables, Sheriff of Cochise, and The Ann Sothern Show. Each show generated substantial licensing fees, syndication revenue, and international sales. But Lucy's most important decision came in 1966 when she personally approved production of a science fiction series that other studios had rejected. Star Trek was considered too expensive and too cerebral for television audiences, but Lucy saw its potential and committed Desilu's resources to the project. Her instinct proved correct. Star Trek became one of the most valuable entertainment properties in history, eventually generating billions of dollars through syndication, movies, merchandise, and spin-off series. Lucy's decision to greenlight Star Trek demonstrated her superior business judgment compared to male executives who had passed on the project. Lucy also approved Mission Impossible, which became another massive hit that continues earning syndication revenue decades later. Her track record for identifying successful projects was remarkable, proving she had genuine talent for the creative and business sides of television production. By 1967, Lucy had successfully transformed Desilu from a company dependent on I Love Lucy into a diversified entertainment conglomerate with multiple revenue streams. The risk she had taken by buying out Desi's share had paid off spectacularly, but Lucy was about to make another brilliant business decision that would cement her fortune forever. In 1967, Lucille Ball made a decision that would secure her family's financial future for generations. Her sale of Desilu Productions for $17 million represented one of the most profitable business exits in entertainment history and proved her timing as an entrepreneur was flawless. By 1967, Lucy had spent 5 years running Desilu as the sole owner, and the company had never been more successful. Star Trek and Mission Impossible were hit shows generating substantial revenues. The Lucy Show was one of television's most popular programs. Desilu owned valuable Hollywood real estate and had multiple shows in development.
It was the show, and then the show was so successful that it led to more, oh, let's produce a couple more. People want me to produce their shows. And then, oh, now we're producing shows. We got to get bigger because the studios are coming into this, so we better get bigger and maybe we'll become a studio. So they become a studio. And now that's so big that there's so much stress and so little time for their marriage, for their family to be home, that it becomes this volcano, and it explodes.
But Lucy recognized that the television industry was changing in ways that threatened independent production companies. The major movie studios, MGM, Warner Bros., Universal, were beginning to produce their own television shows rather than licensing content from independent producers like Desilu. This vertical integration meant that companies like Desilu would face increasing competition and potentially declining profit margins. Lucy also realized that running a major entertainment company required enormous amounts of her time and energy that she preferred to spend on creative work. The administrative responsibilities of managing hundreds of employees, negotiating complex contracts, and overseeing multiple productions simultaneously was exhausting. Gulf Plus Western Industries, the parent company of Paramount Pictures, approached Lucy with an offer to purchase Desilu Productions outright.
1967, the board of directors of Desilu Productions approved the sale of Desilu to Paramount Pictures Corporation, for which Lucy received 60% of it because she was the majority stockholder.
The price, $17 million for the entire company, including all physical assets, existing shows, development projects, and intellectual property rights. To put this sum in perspective, $17 million in 1967 equals approximately $137 million in today's dollars. Lucy would receive this entire amount personally since she owned 100% of Desilu following her buyout of Desi's share. But the deal was even more lucrative than the headline number suggests. Lucy negotiated to retain ownership of certain valuable assets, including syndication rights to some of her shows and ongoing royalty payments from Desilu's content library. She was essentially getting paid $17 million while keeping some of the most profitable parts of the business. Lucy also structured the sale to minimize her tax liability through installment payments and other financial strategies that preserved more of the proceeds. Her business advisors ensured that she would keep the maximum possible amount after taxes and fees. The Gulf Plus Western purchase transformed Desilu into Paramount Television, which continues operating today as one of Hollywood's major TV production companies. Shows that Lucy had developed and approved, including Star Trek and Mission Impossible, became the foundation for Paramount's television empire worth billions of dollars. Industry observers were shocked that Lucy had timed the sale so perfectly. She had extracted maximum value from Desilu just before the independent production business became more difficult and competitive. Within a few years, several other independent TV companies either went bankrupt or sold for much lower prices. The $17 million sale made Lucy one of the wealthiest women in America. Combined with her ongoing royalties from I Love Lucy syndication and her other investments, she had accumulated a personal fortune that few entertainment figures could match. But Lucy wasn't finished building wealth. After selling Desilu, she immediately established Lucille Ball Productions to continue developing her own projects. This new company produced Here's Lucy, which ran successfully from 1968 to 1974, generating additional millions in salary and royalties for Lucy. The succession of brilliant business decisions, the 1951 syndication rights deal, the 1957 CBS buyback, the 1962 Desi buyout, and the 1967 Gulf Plus Western sale had transformed a failed Broadway chorus girl into one of America's richest women. When Lucille Ball died on April 26, 1989, at age 77, she left behind a fortune estimated between $40 to $60 million, making her one of the wealthiest women in America. But the massive estate she had carefully built would soon become the center of a bitter family battle that would have broken her heart. The circumstances of Lucy's death added urgency to the estate planning issues. She died of a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm just 1 week after undergoing heart surgery. The sudden nature of her death meant that some estate planning details may not have been fully completed or clearly communicated to her beneficiaries. Lucy's will divided her estate among 3 primary beneficiaries: her 2 children from her first marriage to Desi Arnaz, Lucy Arnaz Luckenbill and Desi Arnaz Jr., and her second husband, Gary Morton, whom she had married in 1961 and who had been with her for 28 years until her death. Gary Morton received significant portions of the estate, including their Palm Springs home with all its furnishings, artwork, personal effects, and household items. Morton had served as executive producer on Lucy's later television shows, Here's Lucy and Life with Lucy, and had been her business partner as well as her husband. The estate included multiple valuable components: real estate holdings in California, ongoing royalty payments from Lucy's television shows, investment portfolios, personal jewelry and collectibles, automobiles including a Rolls-Royce, and countless pieces of memorabilia from her decades-long career. But the most valuable asset was Lucy's continuing royalty stream from I Love Lucy syndication. Even in 1989, the show was generating substantial annual payments that would continue indefinitely. This created a steady income source that made Lucy's estate more valuable than its initial appraisal suggested. For 7 years after Lucy's death, the estate seemed to be handled appropriately. Gary Morton continued living in their Palm Springs home, surrounded by Lucy's possessions and memorabilia. The beneficiaries appeared to be respectful of Lucy's wishes and her legacy, but everything changed in 1996 when Gary Morton married Susie McAllister, a professional golfer who was significantly younger than Morton. The marriage seemed sudden to Lucy's children, who had barely met McAllister and didn't understand Morton's decision to remarry so late in life. The new marriage created immediate tensions within the family. Lucy and Desi Jr. were concerned that McAllister was primarily interested in Morton's wealth, much of which had come from Lucy's estate. They worried that Lucy's possessions and memorabilia would eventually end up with a stranger who had no connection to their mother's legacy. Their concerns proved justified. Morton's marriage to McAllister lasted only 3 years before he died in March 1999. Under his will, everything Morton had inherited from Lucy, including personal items, artwork, furniture, photographs, and memorabilia, was left to McAllister rather than returning to Lucy's biological children. This inheritance structure meant that a woman who had been married to Lucy's widower for just 3 years now owned countless pieces of Lucy's personal history, while Lucy's own children had no legal claim to items that represented their mother's life and career. For more than 10 years, McAllister kept Lucy's possessions in her home, apparently out of respect for Morton's memory. But in 2010, she made a decision that would devastate Lucy's children and shock the entertainment world. She decided to auction off Lucy's belongings through heritage auction galleries. The items being sold weren't just valuable, they were irreplaceable pieces of television history. The auction catalog included love letters between Lucy and Gary Morton, Lucy's Lifetime Achievement Awards from various entertainment organizations, personal photographs spanning decades of her career, the Rolls-Royce that Lucy had driven, jewelry, backgammon sets, an address book with celebrity contacts, and original costume sketches from her shows. When Lucy Arnaz Luckenbill learned that her mother's possessions were being auctioned off to fund a stranger's home renovation, she was devastated. The legal battle that followed would expose shocking truths about estate planning and how even carefully built family wealth can disappear to outsiders. Luckenbill immediately contacted heritage auction galleries and demanded that the sale be stopped. She argued that these items were family heirlooms that should remain with Lucy's biological children, not be sold to random collectors. She specifically wanted her mother's Lifetime Achievement Awards, which represented Lucy's professional accomplishments and should be donated to a museum or entertainment archive. McAllister's response was swift and aggressive. She filed a lawsuit against Luckenbill, seeking a court order that would allow the auction to proceed as scheduled. McAllister's legal argument was that she had legally inherited these items from Gary Morton and had the absolute right to dispose of them as she chose. The court documents revealed a devastating detail that made Luckenbill's situation even worse. Lucy had actually intended for these personal items to go to her daughter Lucy. According to both McAllister's lawsuit and Luckenbill's response, Lucy's original will had specified that certain personal effects should be distributed to Lucy after her death. But here's what went wrong. Luckenbill had apparently never collected these items from Lucy's estate during the initial distribution process in 1989. Whether due to grief, confusion about the estate process, or simple oversight, Lucy had failed to claim possessions that her mother had specifically left to her. Under estate law, unclaimed inheritances typically pass to the next beneficiary in line. Since Gary Morton was also a beneficiary of Lucy's estate, the unclaimed items legally became his property when Lucy failed to collect them. Morton then had the legal right to leave those items to McAllister in his own will. This legal technicality meant that McAllister's ownership of the items was probably valid, even though Lucy had originally intended them for her daughter. The courts generally cannot undo estate distributions that were completed years earlier, even when the results seem unfair or contrary to the deceased person's intentions. Luckenbill's attorney filed for an emergency restraining order to stop the auction while the ownership issues were resolved. The case went before Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Robert O'Brien, who was tasked with balancing McAllister's legal ownership rights against Luckenbill's claims that the items should remain in Lucy's family. Judge O'Brien's decision was devastating for Luckenbill. He agreed that there were sufficient legal grounds to temporarily block the auction, but he imposed a $250,000 bond requirement that Luckenbill would have to post before the restraining order could take effect. A $250,000 bond meant that Luckenbill would have to deposit that amount with the court as security against potential damages to McAllister if the restraining order was later found to be unjustified. If Luckenbill lost the case, she could forfeit the entire $250,000 in addition to paying McAllister's legal fees and other costs. Luckenbill's attorney, Ronald Palmieri, immediately announced that his client could not afford the bond amount. "We won on a legal basis, and the judge took it away from us on an economic basis," Palmieri said. "That is very sad." The irony was cruel. Lucy's daughter was financially unable to fight for her mother's possessions, despite Lucy having died with a $60 million fortune. Whether Luckenbill had spent her inheritance, invested it unsuccessfully, or simply didn't have liquid assets available for the bond, she could not come up with $250,000 to preserve her mother's legacy. Facing the prospect of losing everything, Luckenbill attempted to negotiate with McAllister for the return of specific items. She managed to secure her mother's Lifetime Achievement Awards, which were the items with the greatest sentimental and historical value. But everything else proceeded to auction. The final auction results were heartbreaking for any Lucy fan. Love letters, personal photographs, awards, costume sketches, jewelry, and other memorabilia sold for approximately $230,000 total. McAllister later explained that she needed the money because she was remodeling her home and no longer wanted reminders of Lucy and Morton's relationship. The estate battle revealed how easily family wealth can disappear when proper planning isn't executed correctly. Lucy had built a $60 million fortune through brilliant business decisions spanning 4 decades, but a simple failure to collect inherited items allowed a stranger to profit from her legacy while her own children watched helplessly. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks. Bye.